Ladies and gentlemen, this is very, very important in our country. We have tremendous pressures. We have large families. We have fathers, mothers, uncles, aunts, nephews, nieces, their fathers, mothers, etc. We have pressures from them. We have pressures from members of parliament. We have pressures from all sorts of people. And we lack the courage to withstand that pressure. This is very important for us in India. And that takes me to the next attribute: moral and physical courage. I do not know which is more important, moral courage or physical courage. Were I talking to a lot of soldiers, I would lay emphasis on physical courage. But since I'm only talking to a handful of soldiers, and mostly civilians, I will lay emphasis on moral courage. What is moral courage? Moral courage is the ability to distinguish right from wrong. And having distinguished that, you must have the courage to stand up and say your piece, irrespective of what your superior thinks, irrespective of your colleagues, irrespective of your subordinates. You must have the courage to say so. A yes man is a horrible man. He must be shunned. He is a disgrace. He may rise very high. He may become a minister. He may become a field marshal. But he will never, never become a leader. He will be used by his superiors. He will be disliked by his colleagues, and his subordinates have no respect for them. Moral courage is essential. Now, since you wanted to know some examples of moral courage from my past, I will give you a little story. In 1970, when General Yahya Khan put all the pressure on East Pakistan as it was then, and refugees started coming to India, there was a cabinet meeting. I remember the date very well, 28th of April. I was summoned. I had a very strong Prime Minister and Mrs. Gandhi, who ranted and raved at me. He said, "What are you doing about it? I've got so many refugees. The Chief Minister of Bengal has just sent me a telegram. The Chief Minister of Tripura has done this. The Chief Minister of Assam is writing that there are more Bengalis there than their own population. What are you doing about it?" And I said, "Nothing. Got nothing to do with me." And she said, "I want you to go in and take action." And I said, "Do you know what that means, Prime Minister?" And she said, "No." I said, "It means war." And she said, "I don't mind if there's war." So I said, "May I please quote from the Bible, the first book, the first chapter, the first verse? God said, 'Let there be light,' and there was light. And you say, 'Let there be war,' there be war. Are you ready?" I'm not ready. I'm not prepared. It is not the right time to go in. The monsoon will break very shortly, and the whole of East Pakistan will be a swamp. I will not be able to operate. The Air Force will not be able to operate. April is a month when we glean the harvest. And the Agriculture Minister was Mr. Fakhruddin Ali Ahmed. And I said, "I will require every railway wagon, I will require every train, I will require all the road space to move my troops. And you will not be able to move your harvest. And then if there is a famine, don't blame me." And I said, the passes in the Himalayas start opening now, the snow melts. And then if the Chinese give us an ultimatum, I will have to fight on two fronts. And then the External Affairs Minister, the Khalsa, Sardar Swaran Singh said, do you think China will give ultimatum? And I said, you are the foreign minister, you tell me. And then my own minister, Jagjeevan Ram, who couldn't call me Sam, he used to call me Sham. He said, Sham, maan jao na. I said, you ko maanne ki baat hai? I am telling you what the facts are. And I said, if you want me to do this, Prime Minister, I guarantee you 100% defeat. Now, Prime Minister, give me your orders. And there was dead silence. And she turned round and said, the cabinet will meet at 4 o'clock. This happened at 10:30 in the morning. So, as the cabinet ministers walked out, I being the junior most man there, was the last to go, she said, Chief, will you stay behind? So I shut the door and I said, Prime Minister, before you speak, do you wish me to send in my resignation on grounds of health, mental or physical? I said, oh, sit down. He said, everything you told me correct? I said, it's my job to fight. It's my job to tell you. If your father in 1962 had me as his commander-in-chief, the country would not have been disgraced. The army would not have been beaten. But the army chief did not have moral courage of turning around and telling him he wasn't ready. So she said, all right, you know what I want? And I said, yes, I know what you want. And I must be allowed to do it my own way. And she said, all right, you know what I want. So ladies and gentlemen, there's a very thin line between becoming a field marshal and being dismissed. I just gave you an illustration of moral courage. Of course, I didn't worry very much because my wife had money. If I'd gone, she would have looked after. She would have looked after me. So much for moral courage. Now I come to physical courage. Fear is a natural phenomenon like hunger and sex. Anyone who says he is not frightened is a liar, except perhaps the Gorkha. Everyone is frightened. It is one thing to be frightened and quite another to show fear. It's when your knees are knocking and your teeth are chattering and you're about to make your own geography. That's when the real leader comes out. If once you show fear in front of men that you may be commanding, it doesn't matter whether they're soldiers, they are clerks, they're labor, there are students. Once you show fear, you should quit. Now again, General D'Souza said, I must give some examples from my own life. This was in Burma in 1942. I was commanding a Sikh company, big tough chaps, very fond of them. I had a man called Sohan Singh, big man, stood about 6'4". He had been promoted many times to Lance Naik, to Naik, and every time, because he was a Badmash, he was broken. We'd had lots of casualties and we had to make promotions. So we had a promotion conference with the commanding officer, and Sohan Singh's name came up and I said, no use making him, he'll be broken tomorrow. So he was passed over. The conference finished, names were published. I came back to my Basha, where my company was in the jungle, and I found my senior Subedar, Balwant Singh, terribly worried. And he said, Saab, Sohan Singh ko kaid kar diya. I said, क्यों, क्या हुआ? उसने बोला कि आज आपको साहब गोली मारेगा. I said, oh, अच्छा. पेशी हो. So a stool was put in, a table was put there, and Son Singh was marched up in front of me. Son Singh was at that time a light machine gunner, and light machine gunners carried pistols, and his pistol was taken away from him. So he was marched up in front of me. The usual charge was read out, and I said, Son Singh, क्या बात है? साहब गलती हो गया. So I said, तुमने बोला कि तू हमको गोली मारेगा. So I picked up the pistol, loaded it, walked up to him, handed the pistol to him. I said, तेरा दिल है मारने का, मारो. And he said, नहीं साहब गलती हो गया. So I gave him a tight slap. I said, case dismissed, जाओ भागो. I went off to the mess, had my dinner, came back, and everybody in the company was very worried. And the Subedar Sahab, Balwant Singh said, नहीं साहब आज रात आपको गोली मारेगा. So I shouted out, Son Singh किधर है? Son Singh came along. I said, Son Singh आज रात मेरा बादशाह पर तुम सेंट्री होगा, और कल सुबह 5 बजे 1 मग्गा चाह और 1 मग्गा गर्म पानी दाढ़ी बनाने के लिए. कोई शक? बेशक, भागो. And I went in there. I was woken up in the morning by Son Singh with a mug of tea and a mug of hot water. And he followed me like a lamb throughout the conflict. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you think I wasn't frightened, you are mistaken. I was terrified. But if I hadn't done that, and put Son Singh in the clink or something like that, everybody would have said, देखा हमारा साहब डरता है. Just an example of this. How often during riots and all that, some young sergeant with nothing but a little stick in his hand has walked in and quelled everything by showing courage. So physical courage is essential to leadership. You needn't be foolhardy like I was. I was very young. I don't know whether I do it today. But physical courage is essential.